Hey everyone, I'm Wilson. On March 17, 2026, the regulatory landscape for crypto in the United States changed forever. We've moved past the era of regulation by enforcement into an era of documented clarity. Today, we are performing a deep dive review of SEC Interpretive Release 33 to 11412. As a builder in the trenches of a social AI network, I know the anxiety of wondering if your utility token is actually an unregistered security in the eyes of the SEC. This release doesn't just give us a taxonomy, it gives us a functional exit ramp for tokens that were once sold as investment contracts. We are going to break down the 5 official categories and the exact legal mechanics of how a token attaches to and detaches from an investment contract. The SEC now classifies all crypto assets into 5 distinct buckets based on their economic reality. To be compliant, you must know where your project sits. First, digital commodities. These derive value from programmatic operation and supply/demand rather than managerial efforts. The SEC explicitly names assets like Bitcoin, Ether, and Solana in this category. These are generally CFTC territory. Second, digital collectibles. This covers NFTs, skins, and even meme coins acquired for social or cultural purposes. These are not securities because they lack the economic characteristics of an investment. Third, digital tools, also known as utility tokens. These are tokens used for software access, such as API keys or identity badges. In my social AI project, our tokens are digital tools. They are keys that unlock AI moderation features. Fourth, stablecoins. This is a broad bucket. Payment stablecoins, issued by permitted issuers, are typically seen as money-like, while others may still be securities depending on their backing and yield structure. Finally, digital securities. These are tokenized versions of traditional instruments like stocks or bonds. If they entitle the holder to a share of profits from a managed business, they are securities. Here is a critical nuance. Non-security crypto asset, like a digital tool, can be offered and sold as part of an investment contract. This often happens during fundraising. If, before or during a token sale, the issuer makes representations or promises that lead a purchaser to reasonably expect profits from the team's essential managerial efforts, then that transaction is an investment contract. This is particularly true if the funding is meant to build out the network's core features. When this happens, the token becomes restricted. It must be sold under a registration exemption, like Reg D, and investors usually face lockup periods. They cannot be freely traded on secondary markets unless they are on an alternative trading system, or ATS. But the most groundbreaking part of Release 33 to 11412 is the separation section. A token does not remain subject to an investment contract forever. It separates when a purchaser can no longer reasonably expect the issuer's managerial efforts to remain connected to the asset. This is a game changer for every builder. There are 2 primary ways this happens. The first is the fulfillment of promises, the job done exit. A token is no longer subject to an investment contract once the issuer has fulfilled the essential managerial efforts it promised. You have to distinguish between essential and ministerial efforts here. If you promise to build a specific AI moderation feature and you've delivered it, your essential work is done. Ongoing maintenance or server upkeep is considered ministerial and does not keep the token attached to the contract. This fulfillment is measured against your own definitions. If you define functionality in your white paper and hit those milestones, the SEC views your obligations as met. Once these efforts are fulfilled and publicly disclosed, subsequent sales of the token are no longer securities transactions. The second path is abandonment or failure, the project over exit. If a project is officially abandoned or fails, the investment contract also terminates. The issuer must widely and unambiguously disseminate that they are no longer performing the promised efforts. Once the team is gone, a purchaser cannot reasonably expect profits from the efforts of others because there is no other left to do the work. So, how do you navigate this as a builder? You need to treat your roadmap as a legal document. When making promises about development milestones, business promotion, or use of funds, be as specific as possible. Vague to the moon promises are less likely to create actionable expectations, but detailed roadmaps do create them, which is actually good, because they also provide a clear finish line for when the token can detach. The SEC suggests, and I highly recommend, providing quarterly updates on your progress. This creates a public record of your fulfillment journey. Even after detachment, you can continue the basic work of operation and maintenance without reattaching the token to an investment contract. However, you must be careful. Even after the investment contract expires, you are still liable for anti-fraud violations if you made false statements in your white paper or omitted major risks. Furthermore, if your initial sale wasn't registered and didn't have an exemption, investors still have the right to sue for their original, illegal sale, even if the contract itself has now ceased to exist. This is where the representations anchor becomes so important. If you made promises before or at the time of sale, you are bound by them. If you make new promises after the sale, those typically don't involve the original investment contract, but they can create new ones. To stay compliant, builders should ensure their promises are clear, specific, and have expected completion standards. This includes plans for feature implementation, business milestones, and how funds will be used. Once those essential managerial efforts are complete, the token can move into the digital tool or commodity category and trade freely. But remember, investment contract detachment doesn't mean a builder can just walk away from all legal responsibility. Maintaining the network is still necessary, and anti-fraud rules always apply. This new framework is designed to keep innovation within the United States. By understanding how to structure your project as a digital tool and knowing the exact path to detach from investment contracts, you are protecting your project's future. I've put the links to the full 68-page PDF of Release 33 to 11412 and Paul Atkins' speech in the description. If you are a builder, you need to read these for yourself. I'm Wilson, and this is the Crypto Compliance Note. We're here to help you build the future without fear. Hit that subscribe button and stay compliant. I'll see you in the next block.